This is a clip from the Cannon podcast. To hear the full episode and get access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.
We need to talk about the Arsenal midfield as well, and one specific player that has caused a lot of controversy online, debates, trust the process with him. He'll come through and some fans going, he's awful, don't know what he does well. Kai Havertz, George, is causing controversy again. No goals so far. I mean, I don't know. I think so. I mean, there's TikToks everywhere, there's YouTube videos, everyone wants to talk about Kai Havertz now. I've even seen a fan say he's got an agenda against Havertz. It's just crazy. Like, why are you an Arsenal fan at that point? But more importantly, no goals scored. I think he missed two big chances, or could have scored two goals. He had one really good chance that he kind of hit back on Saka, and then he kind of didn't attempt to shoot one. Could have scored, didn't score. That's so far no goals, no assists, and I think that's how fans are kind of judging him for. Wasn't the best performance, not really on the ball, very passive, George. So, what are your honest thoughts right now on Kai Havertz, and what do you think Arsenal fans should be thinking?
I think Kai Havertz has not performed individually as well as he could, and I also don't think that Arsenal have given him the platform for him to succeed in the way that I think that he could. I think both are true. When I attack the Kai Havertz problem individually, I always said, even when we bought him here on the Cannon podcast, I fear he's being bought for a future version of Arsenal that I don't think that we're going to have this season. And so when you do include him, it's going to be where he's not individually best. And then I have to look at the individual quality. Why did I say that first? Well, no one is forcing Kai Havertz to pass the ball back in open spaces. And, Mikel Arteta made a very pointed discussion about that in the press conference. So there's individually things that he's not doing to help his cause. But at the same token, if you're going to expect Kai Havertz to be kind of a passing profile to facilitate Martinelli on the left and allow for interchanges while you've got a striker in Eddie Nketiah, then I'm sorry, you're asking a fish to climb a tree. That's not something that, he is going to be able to do. And so he's going to show poor there. My frustration with him is he is a rewatch player in the sense that most of his benefits come off the ball. And if that is to be the case, then a lot of what you see that he does to benefit the team is something that the casual fan won't, because our eyes go to where the ball is and in possession qualities. And, I had a little post on the X. I keep having to change that from Twitter. But I talked about a big thing today where there's this new trend lately that in possession passing traits are the only thing that's considered as creativity. And off the ball movement, for me, is a key component of destabilizing settled blocks. And having somebody that can carry the ball to unbalance the game, which is something Kai is perfectly capable of doing, but also somebody that has the level of movement that he does in the final action is very important for moving blocks. Now, again, I then go back and a lot of people will critique, but George, is he doing a lot of those things? And I have to admit he's not, because even in terms of Fulham, there was a point kind of early in the match when, Bukayo Saka gives him a good cross. And if it was Martinelli or a different striker, I feel he has more urgency to get his body there. And I think his movement and timing is just slightly off in that chance early on where he can put it away. And so you're sat there trying to find positives in a player that I feel is causing more harm than good on the greater kind of term of the team. And that for me is the frustration now. I hope Mikel recognizes it. Why is Kai Havertz being asked to build up deeper? I don't know. When I looked at the Kai Havertz and the Trossard role from Fulham, I questioned, why aren't they swapped? Right now, Kai Havertz is somebody that is unable to create a passing influence on the team. So don't put him in a role that has second phase responsibilities by asking him to be deeper. That should be Trossard all day long. He's more of a high touch player. He's more of a close combo player, and we've seen him perform that role in preseason. Why did you switch them? And Kai Havertz would have fared much better in central zones in the same role that he did against the Community Shield, which, by the way, was his best performance in an Arsenal shirt. I just don't understand why we're forcing him into a role that clearly, A, is not suited to him, but also, B, this team is not ready for. I'll end on this. If you want to maximize Kai Havertz, he is a second striker, in my opinion. And for me, we must move to a diamond midfield where he is the tip of the diamond and we work off of a tall, channel-running number 9 striker. We don't have that. And so for that reason, I think he'll struggle this season in terms of being the person that we need. But in the future, it's not a player I love, but I do admit I see the benefits if we move to that type of system. I'm just not confident that we are this season.
So in terms of that system, as you said, he's not confident this season, but £65 million is Mikel Arteta's second most expensive signing. There will be a lot of pressure for Havertz to score goals. So, Alex, how do you think Arsenal can then maximise Havertz in our current system? Is it playing as a number 9? Is it moving him to the right-hand sides or somewhere else? How do you think we can maximise Havertz's goal-scoring potential in this team?
I think Kai Havertz will be maximised when Zinchenko and Jesus are consistently in the team. I don't think Kai Havertz was bought without those two guys in mind. Like I think that is a big component. George's point earlier about people rating creativity in a different way, I think is really key. And I want to reiterate that again. I want to go a step further and say I think it's because people watch football in shorter versions. So they watch it on a clip on TikTok or they watch it on, for 3 minutes on YouTube. Our collective attention span is obviously decreasing due to the modern media environment. And that's, it's kind of natural to some degree, but it also changes how we intake the game. And I think the way that we rate people creatively is we think about like a great through pass or a great ball over the top or whatever. So I think there is a recalibration that we do need to do in terms of how we consider creativity, and that is a really key and important point. And the second thing I'll say is when you have someone who thrives off, let's call it collaboration in a game in the way that Jesus does. Like Jesus is not that sort of Haaland-esque number 9 where he's just almost that sort of almost linchpin of a team, just they're receiving everything. He's going out giving presents. He's the Santa Claus of the team. Like he's going out and doing all the work, doing all the pressing, doing all the work for everyone else. And with a Havertz and with a Zinchenko who can find him further up the pitch without him having to drop back, I think those two are really, really important. So I think it's about personnel. I also think it's about confidence to some degree. I think at the moment he needs to rebuild that confidence, and we're also 3 games in. He's still building those cooperative relationships with people. People forget that, and that's fine. I think also two more things. Firstly, is Mikel needs to manage him a little bit. I would love Mikel to come out and really back him. I think that's really important, and I hope he does that soon. I imagine he will. I hope Adjourno says what is, what's going on with Kai Havertz. There's a lot of controversy around him online, and I want Mikel to say, I love this player, I want this player, you will see him, we're working on X, Y, and Z, because I think that'll assuage a lot of fans. And the final thing is Havertz needs to improve. Like, that's also true. He was poor against Fulham, and he, as much as we can look at the importance of his off-ball stuff, and he does, and I think the way he approaches the game is not obvious for fans, and that is a key point that needs to be reiterated. He also gave the ball away a couple of times, and didn't look in the game and didn't look up for it physically from that perspective. So all of those things can be true, and I think we exist, to go back to that modern media environment, in a take-based culture where you have one opinion about Kai Havertz, and then that is like, well, that's your opinion, nothing else changes. All of these things are true, like all of them, and that's a hard thing to have the space, and on a podcast or whatever, to really, really get into that.
Yeah, I think as fans, one thing we need to do, especially the match-going fans, is let things play out a little bit more. I think too often we're like 3 games in, right, he's awful, get him out. It's done. You can't do that for players, especially nowadays with how much Arsenal changed the system as well, and key players being out injured. I think when you see Arsenal's first team fully fit and available, we'll see a bit of Havertz, and he'll score some goals. And when he starts scoring some goals, maybe like in a North London derby, fans go, okay, now I see it. Oh, I see it now. See the runs now.
Thanks for checking out the Cannon Podcast. To get full episodes and access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.